Thanks for getting with me on the brigades. Oklahoma has been amazing and really leading the charge in the Freedom Brigade. Can you tell me some of your experiences with it and what you've seen, the strides that we've made across the state?
So I travel. First of all, I'm excited about what's going on with the Brigades charity, and thank you for allowing me to share with you. Yeah, as I travel across the state, I hear of victories over and over and over again. Let me give you an example here in my county. Because we had a brigade, a school board brigade, they were at a school board meeting. They heard about this foundation that was giving a grant to the school. And doing more research, we found that this was very much a leftist organization funded out of Tulsa, and they were actually the end result was they were surveying the kids on psychological surveying, and then they were receiving the information, and the parents never saw this. Well, we were able to block that grant where they're no longer receiving those monies. If we would not have been attending those school board meetings, we would have never heard that information. So that's just a small example of a success story locally.
I've heard stories like that too. I know that they came up, that sounds like the SEL agenda in schools that they use to really manipulate the kids. They call it social emotional learning, but they
Yes.
also put pornography in place with that. They kind of slide it in. But it's so much more than that. It's a way of mind control and a way of controlling them away from their families. It's really scary. I know we had another one of the brigades across the state went to their school board meetings when SEL was on the agenda and they came out against it. We have stopped pornographic books from being in the libraries of the schools. It's been phenomenal. We've seen some of them, going to their county commissioner meetings and their city planning meetings. They know the language of the 2030 agenda. If you don't know this, you need to know it. There's a link to it on the website. But the 2030 agenda really talks about the globalist plans, and we're already seeing them in places. Wayne, haven't you seen cities where they've already implemented these smart cities?
You go to Dallas, St. Louis, even in Tulsa, you're seeing all the downtown areas with all of the condominiums, and they're packing people into these concentrated areas. And that's just the structure that they're putting in place for their long term plans.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you see it everywhere.
And if you
But you wouldn't
haven't
know
read
that it
the
was occurring. Yeah, you wouldn't know it was occurring unless you were aware of their agenda.
That's right. You have to read the agenda and know the language because they present it in a flower package that looks wonderful. And you think, wow, this is going to be great. We're moving forward, but it is quite the opposite. They are setting you up for complete slavery and absolutely no freedom.
The road to destruction is a primrose path.
That's accurate. Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. So that's where, and that we've seen a lot of our brigades come across this and fight it, and the structure of the brigades has been what's been really helpful. So, the brigades go to their communities. It's a divide and conquer strategy where they go to their city councils. They send another one to the school board. They send another one to the county commissioner, another one to city planning, any government entity in your area that is there you have representation at. Then the representation comes back to your group and discusses what's happening so that you can decide how to fight back. But if you're not there to know what's going on, how could you ever fight back? And when we have these leaders in each group that talks to the other leaders across the state, Wayne, we found out that in Northeast Oklahoma, they're bringing in these wind farms that are harmful to the cattle. They're harmful to the land. They're harmful to the town in general. And they're the opposite of green. They're run by diesel. Of course, the lie is that it's green, but it's the exact opposite. They tear everything up. And we found out that as we're talking with the brigade leaders, that we were not just fighting it here, but that we're fighting it across the state. And so it's interesting that the state was offering money to the companies to come to Oklahoma. And so the farmers that are thinking, once again, it's in this offered in this flower package, thinking it's a good thing, we come to them with truth. And now we can strategize together what works and what doesn't work because we're communicating. We're talking with brigade leaders in other states. With in the Panhandle, they've already implemented some of this, and so they've been helpful at what works and what doesn't work. We can have the conversation because the conversation goes beyond your local strategy when needed, and it's just powerful.
Well, we've been remiss because we've not been in there seeking this information and observing, and so consequently, these individuals that have these long-term plans, they've had carte blanche. They could do anything they wanted to do, and we weren't aware of it until after the fact. And now we're more and more people are waking up and they're realizing what's going on in their cities and counties. And so consequently, this is an organizational structure for us to be aware of what's going on and then being able to take that information back to a group of people so we can inform them. Plus, then these brigades are talking to one another, as you said, across the state. So we're seeing trends. It's not just happening in my community, it's happening in the other side of the state. It's happening in another state. These are long-term plans that we were not even, very few people were even aware of. But this brings about large public awareness, and also it gives us the ability to engage and also address these issues in a powerful way.
Wayne, you're right, and you've been helping with these brigades since they very first started. It's amazing because really we the people have power, but we haven't been organized and we've stayed asleep. We wanted to let our legislators handle it for us, and it turns out we realized in 2020, very obviously with COVID and with the stolen election, that they were not standing up for us. And then when we protested on January 6th, there were criminals made out of that. So the criminals were patriots that did nothing wrong, that stayed within the bounds of the law. And so we've realized that we have no choice but to get involved. We can't continue life as usual. But we do offer more resources. One of the things you should be paying attention to as you go to these meetings is we're deciding which ones are bad actors, which candidates need replaced. And so when they come up for election, how do we vet and find a new candidate? And so Wayne, you had ideas on that too. We've got lists of what you can look for in a school board candidate, and a city council candidate, and a county commissioner. The county commissioner is one that blows my mind. They're the control operations for the entire county. There is not a dollar that is spent that does not go through your county commissioner. They have to approve every dollar. And most of these guys have a high school diploma at best. That's insane. Is it a patsy position? It shouldn't be. Go ahead,
No,
Wayne.
no. In each county in Oklahoma, there are just three individuals that control all those funds, and typically they're individuals that they know everyone in the community, so they really don't have the qualifications for them to be good administrators. And, I mean, some do, but there's so many that don't. And so consequently, again, we're going back to the structure of the brigades. And when we're in there, we can discover that, and then we can identify, oh, this individual, we need to replace this person, or this individual is doing a great job. Let's support them. So all it does is it raises our awareness. And what you said, Charity, is the power is in the people. But we have been AWOL, Charity. We've not been in there. So we've not been the watchman on the wall or the watchdogs of government. Well, this brings us back to or making the people the power. Benjamin Franklin said, in free governments, the rulers are the servants and the people are their superiors and sovereigns. We have to learn how to be their superiors and sovereigns again. We've not been those individuals.
I agree 100%. So that's what the brigades do. Wayne, thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time today. Did you have any parting thoughts you wanted to give us on that?
I just want to encourage people, if you see your government or you see your country and you're not pleased with the way it's going, this is one way for you to be involved. So go to your local GOP or an organization like in Oklahoma Second Amendment Association or whatever. We will structure those brigades, and so that you can be an informed citizen, you can take that information back and you can make a difference. Let me tell you, one person can change the world, and I would encourage you, be that one person. Let me say what's one last thing. I want you to think about this. What are we leaving our children? We stand on the shoulders of great men and women in history, the ones that risked everything to give us liberty. Well, whose shoulders will our children stand upon? I hope it's ours.
That's good, Wayne. So those of you wanting to join the brigades, that's freedombrigades.com. Join us. This is the resistance.